At IPBC Global 2015, we had some special guests not seen in prior years, namely the people who come up with the inventions themselves. And so while many of the delegates come here to talk about monetization of innovation, the innovators graced our panels, ranging from mobile phone technology through to 3D printing, cancer diagnostic tests, and so-called electric glass. David Kline managed the panel discussion yesterday. David, thanks for your time. What was the most surprising thing that you got out of the panel discussion that you hosted?
I don't think I realized prior to hearing their stories how significant these inventions were and how much effort was required to develop them. Over many years of struggling to build a company, to try and get a patent to protect it, to license or litigate to protect the invention so that it could be fully developed. An invention isn't like a light bulb. You pull the switch and it's on. It's a process of building a company, really.
Now, one of the things that came up in the conversation was the question of when did you realize that you were an inventor? And it was striking that a number of the panelists said, I never thought I was an inventor, I thought I was a scientist. And then somebody in the audience said, you're not scientists, you're entrepreneurs. To what extent does this illustrate the gap between the invention end of the IP industry and the people who promise to monetize those innovations?
I actually think that was more of a cultural difference. In Europe, I think scientists, researchers are held in higher esteem than inventors. And in the United States, we have a tradition. Our country was the first in the world, in the United States, to self-identify, to base its identity not on empire or military might, but on technological progress. So our heroes were Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, Robert Fulton, steamboat, Thomas Edison, and Steve Jobs. And those were the popular heroes in the United States. So I think for just unique national cultural differences, we in the United States tend to look at these people who create the new products, new services, and medical treatments that improve our lives. We tend to look at them as inventors, but they're the same basic people. And interestingly, all of them, whether they start out identifying as a scientist or an inventor, they're all entrepreneurs because you have to be.
How important is that recognition to the delegates at IPBC?
Well, I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I think this whole issue that I raised yesterday, that people love inventors, they love inventions, but in the United States at least, they no longer like patents. Patents are identified with litigation, not invention. 15 years ago, that wasn't true. 15 years ago, when people thought of or read that IBM had gotten so many patents in a year, they thought, great, they're a very inventive company. When Bell Labs got patents, people said, terrific, what a great research laboratory, they're making inventions. Now when people hear about patents, the first thought that comes to their mind is litigation, and that's, I think, in part because the intellectual property community may not be recognizing or may have lost sight a little bit of the importance of invention and of branding our industry as on the side of invention, not on the side of litigation.
Carlos Puentes, in fact, himself mentioned that 50% of the money that's derived from royalties ends up being spent on lawyers, which got a few chuckles in the audience, as you can imagine. Does that strike at the heart of the problem?
I think so, and I'm not sure that this is something that happened because of nefarious design. I mean, the cost of litigation is so extreme now, the cost of filing a patent suit, that in essence the patent system has been taken hostage by the litigation system. And this poses a real problem. So good inventions don't get commercialized because to commercialize them requires, in many cases, you're going to have to litigate. And if that's a $5 million investment for an independent inventor or a young startup company, it can't be sustained. And I think that's why patent filings are down in the United States for the first time except patent filings have been down in the past, but always in the presence of war or Great Depression. There's no war now. There's no depression right now. Patent filings are down because the litigation system has to be surmounted in order to bring an invention, protect it, and bring it to market.
And is that your message to the delegates at IPBC to
I
play that role?
hope that the IPBC and the delegates here will think more about how we are viewed by the public and by policymakers, especially policymakers who respond to public opposition to so many patent lawsuits. If they weaken the patent system, if legislation comes out that weakens patent enforcement, then I think everyone here and their companies are going to pay the price of that. So I think they should be concerned. Whether they are, I don't know.
It's good to talk to you. Thank you very much, David Kline, who led the conversation with the inventors, the innovators, which you can see for yourself. If you're a delegate at IPBC Global 2015, you can log on and watch the entire plenary discussion again for yourself.